You know that awkward silence in the group chat when your 11th round pick drops 22 fantasy points in week 1 and carries you to victory? Well, these 7 players in this video can do just that and are all set to break out in a massive way this year. All you have to do is make sure you draft them before your friends catch on. One player in this video is being drafted in round 11 and has top 5 upside at the position. And another guy is the starting running back on an elite offense that you can draft in round 7. Before we get into the video, I do have a little bit of a giveaway for you guys. Trophy Smack, let's get this bad boy over here, sent me this trophy. They make trophies for fantasy football leagues. This thing is insane. You can custom make it. You can have your team name right here. And the winners of every year, their plaque can go all around this trophy. Trophy Smack sent me this for free. Very blessed. I want to do the same thing for you guys. I want to give you guys, the lucky winner, one of these bad boys for free. All you have to do, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below one player that you have to have in fantasy football this season. And if you watch the video from start to finish, there's some bonus points in there as well. Again, this is insane. This is not a chintzy trophy. This thing is heavy. This is probably one of the most well-made trophies I've ever seen. What a brilliant company. This company was featured on Shark Tank. This is just amazing. This is very good quality and just an incredible company all around. I'll link their website down below. If you don't win the trophy, go to their website anyway and buy one for your league. It adds a little bit of fun. Imagine having this guy on your desk all year long after you win this year. So again, gonna give one of these guys away. 48 hours, the contest will be up. I'll announce the winner in the comment section of this video. Like, subscribe, comment down below one player you have to have in fantasy this year, and we will ship you out one of these guys for free for your league this year. All right, let's jump into the video. Starting with Tyjae Spears, who could be this year's Chase Brown, pass down back, extremely explosive, and prove to us that he can be a fantasy star when given the opportunity. From weeks 15 to 17 last year, he was the RB5 in fantasy, averaging 21 fantasy points and 16 opportunities per game. Saw a 60% snap share over those 2 games. Only Jahmyr Gibbs, Jonathan Taylor, James Cook, and Bijan Robinson scored more fantasy points over that stretch. And last year, most of the year for Spears was not great. He missed 5 games due to injury. He had that ankle sprain in September. Then he dealt with a hamstring injury in October, concussion in November, and then he suffered a second concussion in week 17. Absolutely brutal. It felt like every month he was dealing with something. It really derailed most of his year, and it opened the door for Tony Pollard, who didn't really relish in the opportunity for the most part. He was okay, RB22 in fantasy points per game, 28 years old now, older back. He's getting to the age where most running backs start to fall off, unless your name is Derrick Henry or Christian McCaffrey. 4.2 yards per carry last year, which was 42nd among all running backs, along with ranking 42nd in elusive rating compared to Spears, who was 9th. I think there's a path for Tyjae to get this backfield a little bit closer to a 50-50 split with potentially a chance to take over by midseason. And this offense is going to play into Spears' strengths. We know head coach Brian Callahan wants to throw the football. He just couldn't do it last year. Didn't have the personnel, didn't have the quarterback. Totally different situation this year. We know they spent the first overall pick on quarterback Cam Ward. Massive upgrade to the position. And Spears is extremely electric in the receiving game as he earned 70 targets in his rookie year. He's elite at making defenders miss with the ball in his hands. He avoided 1.5 tackles per game on receptions in 2024, which was the best mark among all running backs. And he should be more involved in the passing game this year for Tennessee, as they don't have a ton of weapons in the passing game. Calvin Ridley, great value in fantasy this year. Chig Okonkwo, that's about it. I think Spears is going to be the third receiver, if you will, on this team. No, Pollard isn't going away, but he's an older back that didn't look great last year and has proven to us that he can't stay healthy. We saw what Spears was capable of in a near full-time role. If everything breaks right, it could be an absolute steal at cost. Getting Spears in the 11th round, he has league-altering upside. if everything goes his way, or even if this backfield is 50-50 and he's getting a ton of work in the passing game, getting those high value touches, and he's your running back 4 on your roster, could be a league winner at the position. All right, moving on to the next guy. Jayden Reed is just one of those guys who could very well break fantasy football this year, and no one sees it coming. What happened last year, when you really take a pulled back view, wasn't Jayden's fault. It was a volume issue. He had one game over 6 targets the entire year. Everyone's going to say targets are earned, but Green Bay wasn't throwing the ball. We'll get into that in a second. 68% route participation last year, 71st among wide receivers, 75% of his snaps were from the slot, so he's coming off the field a lot, which wasn't ideal. 4.5 targets per game is what he averaged on the year. The system, the lack of usage, crushed his overall fantasy value, and that was due to Green Bay becoming more of a run-heavy offense. They ran the football at the 5th highest rate last year, and that likely was not their plan coming into the year. But everything changed when Jordan Love got hurt on that final play against Philadelphia in Brazil. He hurt his knee. It forced Green Bay to rely more on the run because outside of that knee injury, Love dealt with several other nagging injuries that felt like they lasted the entire year. Like, what you're going to see from Jordan Love this year is going to make your mind explode. He is such a good quarterback. He's going to go crazy in fantasy and in real life if he stays healthy. In the 5 games where Love was healthy last year, Green Bay posted a plus 3.6% pass rate over expected, which was the 7th highest in the NFL. Among all offenses. In the games where Love was dealing with an injury, there were negative 8.2% pass rate over expected, which ranked dead last. What does this tell us? When Jordan Love is healthy, this offense wants to throw the football under Matt LaFleur. They're going to do it at a high rate. When he's banged up, they're going to run. It's going to be more of a balanced attack this year. We know Jayden is the most talented receiver in Green Bay. Yes, they spent a first round pick on Matthew Golden. Looks like he's going to be a nice player, but Reed is the guy right now. He had the highest passer rating when targeted among all receivers last year. He was 3rd in yards per target, 7th in yards per reception, 19th in yards per route run. He's led Green Bay in receptions and yards the last 2 seasons. And for reference, Stephon Diggs, really good receiver. Through his first 2 years, he had 142 touches, over 1,600 yards and 7 touchdowns. Jayden Reed, 150 touches, over 1,900 yards and 17 touchdowns. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, the breakout is coming, and it's here, and it's happening this year. Wide receiver 43 right now, round 7 pick. Doesn't make much sense. He finished as a wide receiver 23 and wide receiver 26 the last 2 years. He has all the makings, everything, the perfect formula to break out. Take advantage before the market shifts, because the market doesn't have it right now, in my opinion. All right, moving on to our next guy, Marion Hampton, who's a guy I could not love more. A top 12 finish at the position becomes more and more likely by the minute for LA's first round rookie running back. Hampton is just the dream running back. This dude doesn't have any weaknesses that I can see. He's got the size, 6 feet tall, over 220 pounds, burners for his frame. He ran a 4.46 40, elite athleticism, contact balance, along with versatility. He's a strong receiving back, which is huge for fantasy, especially PPR leagues. 67 receptions over his final 2 seasons at North Carolina. That's really good. He ranked among FBS running backs last year, 2nd in rushing yards, 5th in missed tackles forced, and was in the 97th percentile in yards after contact per attempt. He has a workhorse skill set. His last 2 seasons at North Carolina, he averaged 24 touches per game, 150 yards per game, and 1.37 touchdowns per game. He's a do-it-all back that will thrive in this elite LA offense that we know wants to run the football under offensive coordinator Greg Roman. Behind a strong offensive line, I think double-digit touchdowns is a very real possibility. And the only thing that was getting in Hampton's way from absolutely going crazy in year 1 was Najee Harris, who unfortunately suffered what looks to be a pretty serious eye injury over the 4th of July. It really doesn't look good. There's a lot of question marks. I think it's worse than initially thought. Harbaugh has come out and said that he's praying for healing. He doesn't know when he's going to come back. He's currently on the PUP. Not great. Not happy about that. Obviously, I love Hampton. Never want to see a guy get hurt, though. I have no problem with taking O'Marion at the end of round 3, early round 4, because of his ridiculous upside that he has. And since 2010, there have been 22 rookie running backs to hit 16-plus points per game from week 9 on. Hampton has league winner written all over him. And if there's no Najee, or if Najee misses the first couple of games, it's going to be really hard for the Chargers to then send O'Marion to a smaller role. When they drafted him in the first round, they invested in this guy. The ownership invested in this guy. When Najee Harris is on a veteran minimum deal, 1 year, $5 million deal. Like, if Najee doesn't start the season, I just don't see a world where Hampton is not the guy for the entire year. Moving on to our next guy. Bear with me here. Don't shut off the video. Watch the whole thing first, please. It's Chris Olave, who is such a fun player when he's on the football field, which I get it. He hasn't been on the football field. He suffered 2 concussions last year, 5 recorded concussions in his football career. It's less than ideal. Doesn't mean, though, that he's at a higher risk than anyone else to suffer another one, right? Teammate Brandon Cooks, this is interesting. Brandon Cooks has also suffered 5 concussions. His last one was in 2019, and then he hasn't had another one. So it's a perfect example of what can happen. Olave's had bad luck in that department, and then it can just not happen anymore. Like people always say, you're injury prone until you aren't, right? I personally am a risk taker in a sense, especially with the ADP that Olave is at. I like to get ahead of the curve, take micro risks, and bet on ultra talented players in what could be a better situation than people think. We'll talk about that in a second. But now that that's out of the way, let's talk about the good. Since entering the league for Olave in 2022, he started off the first 2 years with 1,000 receiving yards in each season, 2.21 yards per route run. That's really good. He ranked 10th in first downs per route run, ahead of Jamar Chase. Apparently, I didn't know this, but there is no better statistical predictor for a league-winning wide receiver season than first downs per route run, according to Ryan Heath of Fantasy Points. So that stat is telling us that, hey, Olave is better than a lot of people think. He's really talented, really good route runner, separator. He's got nice speed, and he proved it in 2024 according to Reception Perception, as he ranked in the 87th percentile in success rate versus man coverage, 76.3%. We like to see that. He's still only 25 years old in a brand new offense led by Kellen Moore, which is going to be extremely fast-paced offense. They're going to run a ton of plays, a lot of pre-snap motions. Olave's going to likely be in the slot, or he's going to eat. They're going to also need to score a ton of points because their defense ranked 3rd worst last year according to PFF, and they didn't get much better this year. I expect more to utilize Olave a ton from the slot, which I just mentioned, with Shaheed and Cooks on the outside. Last season, when Kellen Moore was with the Eagles, Devontae Smith played 55% out of the slot and had his best fantasy points per game of his career. So Olave should eat in that role. Yes, quarterback play is potentially a concern with rookie Tyler Shuck, but volume can override inefficiencies. We saw it with Malik Neighbors, Garrett Wilson last year, and what if Shuck is just better than we think? All in all, Olave is a really talented player on an offense that's going to throw a ton under a very smart, creative coach in Moore that you can draft in round 6, round 7 with the injury risk already baked into the price. So that is my thoughts on Olave. I do really like him. It is nerve-wracking, but if he doesn't suffer a concussion this year, he could be a top 15 receiver in fantasy. On to our next guy. Isaiah Pacheco is one of those rare starting running backs on a good offense that you can draft in round 7, as his ADP is being suppressed because after coming off last year where he broke his leg in week 2, rushed back 9 weeks later, which was insanely quick and didn't look like the same guy, but rightfully so. And now recency bias is telling us that Pacheco just isn't a good player anymore, which just simply isn't true. We know Pacheco, when healthy, is really good. 2023, over 1,100 total yards, 44 receptions, 9 touchdowns. He was at RB14 in fantasy points per game. And last year, before getting injured, he was off to a very hot start. Week 1, 15.8 fantasy points. Week 2, 16 fantasy points, 80% snap share, averaging 21 opportunities and 4 targets per game. It's clear that Kansas City wants to use Pacheco like a bell cow, and their actions have proved that to us. The only other backs on the roster, Kareem Hunt, Elijah Mitchell, who always seems to be hurt, hasn't really done much in the NFL, and a 7th round rookie in Brashard Smith, who was converted from receiver to running back. And now Pacheco enters this year ready to prove everyone wrong, along with get a new deal as he's in the final year of his rookie contract. Players normally tend to perform a little bit better when a lot of money is on the line. I don't blame them. Pacheco is a versatile back with top 12 upside at the position, is well within his range of outcomes. Like I said, you can draft him in round 7. He can be your RB3 on your roster. I'm predicting that Pacheco is going to rush for over 1,000 yards for the first time in his young career, along with double-digit touchdowns. Take the value and thank me later. All right, moving on to our next guy, Drake Maye. I'm guaranteeing right now the year 2 breakout for Maye is happening. If you like to wait on quarterback in your upcoming fantasy drafts, Maye is one of the best later round targets at the position, along with my guy Bo Nix. But in 9 games last year, when Drake played at least 90% of the snaps, he was a quarterback 11 in fantasy, 18.7 fantasy points per game. And that was all on a train wreck of an offense with little to no weapons in the passing game. They had Demario Douglas, Hunter Henry, and that was about it. And the offensive line was also horrible as they ranked 31st in pass blocking win rate and 32nd in run blocking win rate. But they addressed that this offseason. They brought in 2 veterans to bolster that unit and spent the 4th overall pick on left tackle Will Campbell, who's a unit. He's an absolute monster. I think Maye is going to have a lot more time in the pocket this year, and I think he's going to thrive in this new system. We know Josh McDaniels comes back in, returns as offensive coordinator, and you pair all of that with massive upgrades to the wide receiver and running back room. Stephon Diggs, yes, he's coming off that ACL, but I think he's going to have a strong year. Rookie receiver Kyle Williams has looked really good in camp so far, and rookie running back Travion Henderson, who I love. He's an elite receiving back. Maybe he'll play like that James White role. He could be Maye's security blanket out of the backfield. And Drake has that rushing upside that could really take him to the next level in fantasy, as he had 421 yards on the ground in 13 games last year with 2 touchdowns and averaged 36.8 rushing yards per game across those 9 games where he played over 90% of the snaps. This is a quarterback you can get in round 12. He's a quarterback 14. That is absolute incredible value. I think he's drastically going to outperform his ADP because of everything we just talked about. But the rushing upside, the improved offense, year 2, he looked good last year, but another year under his belt, I think he's going to have if you want to give him like what player could he be like, it could be a Jaden Daniels type of jump this year. Even though Jaden Daniels was a rookie, I get it, Drake Maye isn't. But I think he's going to come out of nowhere and have a phenomenal year 2. On to our last guy, Tucker Kraft. Yes, another Packer, but he's another easy player to bet on, where a breakout just seems crystal clear at this point. Even he is flying under the radar in a sense. I think the market is starting to catch on. After a strong year 2, he set career highs across the board in targets, receptions, yards, and touchdowns, along with ranking 7th in yards per route run, 12th in receiving yards per game, and was the tight end 10 in total fantasy points, and led all tight ends in broken tackles, yards after the catch per reception at 9.1 yards, which was the best mark by any tight end since George Kittle in 2018. This is an explosive, athletic tight end that is dangerous with the ball in his hands. You can't say that about every tight end. Kraft is extremely fun. He's extremely talented, and he did a lot with little last year. He had a 14.5% target share, which was the 4th lowest among tight ends, 4 targets per game. Same thing we talked about with Reed. They became run heavy because Love was banged up. On a Green Bay offense that ranked 30th in pass attempts, that won't be the case this year. I'm telling you, people. And everything coming out of Green Bay's camp is how they have to get Kraft more involved this year. And he's been receiving high praise from not only Love, but head coach Matt LaFleur. We expect Green Bay, like I said, to be more pass happy in 2025. And Kraft has all the tools, the situation to be a top 5 tight end in fantasy this year. It's not crazy to say that whatsoever. He has the proven production. He is the tight end. No more Luke Musgrave. He's only 24 years old. He has elite yards after the catch ability and touchdown upside and strong QB play on an elite offense that's going to move Kraft all around, get him in good spots, put him in advantageous positions. When you have a creative coach on a good offense, it's really the perfect situation for Kraft. He's the smartest tight end that you can draft in round 11. If you miss out on Bowers and McBride, and Kittle, Kraft is your guy. I'm drafting him in every single one of my leagues. All right. That's all I have for you guys. I appreciate every single one of you who made it to the end. Again, if you want to win this Trophy Smack trophy, like this video, subscribe, comment down below one player you have to have in fantasy this year, and I will be picking the winner in the next 48 hours. Thank you so much for watching, and good luck.